My name's Hutch, I'm a gaming sex icon. So it's Friday, and Friday's the day that I'm gonna try and set aside to do an interview every single week. The last interview that I had was with Kid Poker Daniel Negreanu. And Shiloh, on that video, you said, before I watch this, all I can say is, what the fuck? Two guys I watched that are in completely different worlds collaborating. For someone who only watches a select few, this was actually so weird for me to find in my subpage, lol. Yeah, it was really weird that he agreed to do it. I thought that was crazy, and I'm happy that it all came together. Today's Quality Time with Hutch is going to be featuring Chilled Chaos, who just recently moved out of LA as I'm moving back to LA, so I thought it would be a good time to sit down with him and have a conversation about how much everything has changed over the last 4 years. It's a really cool conversation. I thought it went really well. If I seem rude, it's because I had a bunch of topics that I wanted to get to, and he's a really good talker. He'll just go and go and go. So I had to jump in at a few points and kind of cut him off a little bit to keep the conversation flowing. But yeah, sit back, relax, enjoy the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit subscribe if you like what you see, and have a good weekend. Okay, Chilled Chaos, this is not the first time that I've interviewed you, and maybe it won't be the last, but you've had some well, first of all, hello. Welcome to the programming.
Yeah, you're getting right into grilling me. No, hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I think we did this about maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I think we were all playing Trials.
Yeah, I want to say it was 2012. Maybe. Jesus. Maybe no. I think it was 2013 actually. So yeah, it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
I gotta Google that. Who is the Chilled Chaos? You had to put something like that. Who is me?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I've rebranded this thing like 1,000 times, so I'm just sticking with Quality Time with Hutch this time.
Quality Time with Hutch. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, May 23rd, 2013. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so we're almost on like a 4-year anniversary.
And you know what? I figured I'd reach out to you again because you've had some big life changes that are kind of coinciding with my life changes right now.
Well, you know what?
No, go ahead.
I don't want to say, like, I don't want to take the same arc that mine took. But yeah, it is coinciding in terms of just, yeah, I hear you're going to Los Angeles now.
This is true. Yeah, me and my lady friend are moving on Tuesday, so it happened like super fast. I thought this process would have taken months, but as we found a job.
Wait, this Tuesday?
Yeah.
When did you decide to move?
Well, we had been talking about it, like. It's funny because some people in the comments were saying, like, look at Hutch being impulsive again. And I know I've been, I know I've acted whimsical in the past, but this is actually, we've been talking about this kind of on and off for maybe a year, but not seriously until like probably 2 months ago. I brought it up when we were out and about doing something. And yeah, it just came together very fast. But
Is this for like work related stuff, or just people are out there and you want to be out there too?
Well, there's more opportunity down there. And I have a lot of friends in LA that I just never get to see. And, you know, I play games with them all the time, but I never get to see them. And yeah, and Esme found a job down there. Yeah. She found good stuff down there.
Cool. No, I mean, that's like the trifecta right there. If you got friends, you found a job, and you found a place. I mean, as long as the rent's not too bad, then there's really no reason not to go.
Whoops. Sorry about that. My AC decided to flip out of me. Yeah, no, the rent's not bad at all. I'll tell you off stream, but we actually found a really good situation down there. So, but anyways,
you dealt with the LA traffic before, right?
Yeah,
You used to. That was honestly, you know, we were talking a little bit earlier about the same arc, but that was one of the reasons why I ended up moving back, was just because of the traffic. You can't do anything down there. It's a fun place with a lot of people, but if you want to go out like on like a Thursday night, you got to schedule like 2 hours in advance just if you want to go bowling.
And Thursdays in LA are basically Fridays. Like everybody goes out on Thursdays too and just parties. So yeah. But yeah, I'll get to that in a second because I wanted to ask you. So why did you move to LA in the first place? So you've talked about this before, but kind of walk me through this entire LA experience, and we'll just start with because you had been. I know Nanners was trying to get you to move out here for a long time.
Yeah, for like 3 years.
I remember us talking about it in 2012 even. So what prompted? When did you move to LA again, and what finally got you to take that step and just roll the dice and get out here?
I moved to LA the beginning of 2016. We packed our bags and we drove cross country. We took because we have a dog. His name's Rex and he's stupid. But he can't go on a plane because one, we would feel bad, and two, I mean, putting a dog on a plane, you don't know if you're gonna get the same dog back. So we were forced to make the drive, and that was in the beginning of 2016. And yeah, you're right. It was. I think I've always talked about LA now. I guess ever since like meeting yourself and Adam and Sark. Probably talked about going down there since 2012. It seemed like, again, like a place where opportunity meets ambition, and that was the main drive behind it. I really do think if I would have went down earlier, like in 2013 or 2014, I would have had a bit more luck with it. But I chose 2016 because I was.
But then you wouldn't have met your special lady friend.
Exactly. That's why it's like there's like a whole convoluted mess behind LA. When we were first talking, I remember it was in 2014. I was talking to Adam, and he was trying to put together a group of people that wanted to head down to LA to actually make like a collaborative group, put together a group of people that were going to record and kind of like, I don't know, almost like kind of what Funhouse has now. I think that was the general idea of it. We all went down there to kind of feel everyone out and just, spend the weekend there. And that was really nice. But at that time, my girlfriend and I, we were only dating for about 6-7 months. And if I was going to go down to LA, that means the relationship wasn't going to last. I wasn't going to do, I had just done a long distance relationship with someone else. I wasn't going to do another long distance relationship.
Yeah. I remember you talking to me about that relationship when we were at PAX in like 2013 or something.
Oh my God. That was, I mean, that's such a long time ago, but that I came to you with so much advice because I was so completely lost out of my mind on what to do in a relationship, because that was my first relationship.
I probably gave you terrible advice back then.
You know what?
I can't remember what I said.
I don't remember what we said, but I remember the walk we had. We were walking across that bridge in Boston.
Yep.
It was right before the hotels, and it had to be something along the lines of just, well, you know what? If it isn't working out, it isn't working out, because you're very real when it comes to things. There's no sugarcoating, which is good. It gives you some good insight into what you probably should do. Like if this is how someone sees the situation, point blank. There's no marketing. There's no wrapping around it. This is just what the situation is. Yeah. And for the most part, I believe you were right, because I'm pretty sure that's the route everyone was telling me at the time. That it just wasn't meant to be. We were too different of people.
Well, let's go back to LA for a second. And yeah, so you moved down there, and then so it didn't meet your expectations. How soon after moving to LA did the thought occur to you? Oh, I might have made a mistake. And how?
Well, I don't want to put the fear in you now.
No, don't. It's funny because in the announcement video where I said I was moving down there, people were like, "You need to talk to Chilled, bro. You need to talk to Chilled." Didn't work out. I was like, okay, I understand that, but Chilled's a different person, and he has a different experience with LA, and I can appreciate the risks that you take when you when you make a big move like that. But we are completely different people. I think you're a bit more rambunctious and more outgoing than I am, which definitely leads itself to LA. And two, you still live relatively close to LA. So like for you, a move to LA isn't just like, oh wow, I've left the rural suburbia. Well, it's like 400 miles, almost 400 miles.
Is it really?
Yeah, from San Francisco to LA, it's about a 6
I don't want to hear
drive.
I want to hear 400 fucking miles. We had a 42-hour drive.
Oh my God. I don't know. I think I would have enjoyed driving across the country when I was younger. I don't know about doing it now though. I just don't know.
Well, the thing about like the drive cross country, it's just one, at least for me with YouTube, it's like a regular job. So you have to make sure everything is every day. And I'm sure it's the same thing with you every day. So you have to make sure you have enough content. And the 2 weeks before that sucks because you're loading up on everything to have a week's worth of content.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you got to prepare a move. So I would have loved to make the trip to cross country again if I had no obligations and we were able to spend some time somewhere.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, let's go 2 hours up to the Grand Canyon. Oh, let's go up a couple hours to see Death Valley. But when you have like an objective, kind of sucks. But that's a different story.
So yeah. So how did you at what point did you realize? Oh fuck, I might have made a mistake. Hopefully it wasn't in the first like 2 weeks.
No. The first 2 weeks, God, you still got to furnish the apartment in the first 2 weeks. It was I want to say it was probably my birthday in May. So at that point, it was 2 months. Um, I'm in California, and there's no family around. That was like the first year where like a birthday where there's just no one. And that was probably like, it wasn't a wake up call like, oh shit, this was the wrong move, but it was almost like, huh, so this is what it's like being very far away from family.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't think it's gonna affect you at all. Like, and even if you don't have the best relationship with family, there's something about just seeing them and hearing their voices, or being like going to like a family picnic or something.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Even at the time, if you didn't think about it as much, not having it's like the always, you don't know what.
You think about it more when you're getting older too. So like maybe when you're in your teens or early 20s, you don't really prioritize making time for your family as much as you did before. But then you start to get older, and then you see your parents physically start to change, and they look older, and it just has this effect on you.
Yeah, because you do want to spend, again, not every waking moment with them, but like the important stuff you should be spending with family. But that was probably in May, when I was kind of like, I'm always, I'm beginning to get iffy on the idea of being out in Los Angeles. And I think the only person I can blame is myself, realistically, because I didn't do enough out there. Like I said before, yeah, like LA is a mix of.
You talk about blame. You talk about blame as if you did something wrong. I don't think you did anything wrong, right?
No, I wouldn't say anything's wrong, but I would say I didn't take full advantage of the situation. I am horrible when it comes to keeping in contact with people and trying to branch out and make new friends, and I guess it's almost. I wouldn't say socialize. I could socialize, okay, but like when it comes to like having to interject yourself into other people's lives, it's a mix of like, I don't want to intrude, and I also don't know how comfortable they would feel. And a lot of that, when most of the people you've met just online, it's weird when you're in person all of a sudden, and then you have to kind of, again, not intrude in their lives, but almost say, hey, do you want to do something? Hey, are you busy?
Yeah, it's like when you're a kid, it's easy just to walk up to the other kid on the playground and be like, hey, do you want to go play on the swings or something? But when you're, in your 20s or something, it gets a little bit more awkward.
Exactly.
It's not as awkward for me now, but I know what you mean. I felt like that when maybe I was a little bit younger.
Yeah, you have a mix of that. And then you're always in the back of your head, you're always thinking, I hope people don't think I'm trying to use them and I just want to be their friend. Because everyone that we know, they, to some extent, they're in this online industry. And everyone has a group, or they have some kind of online clout that they have an audience, and people collaborate. And it's hard to stress to people like, hey, let's just be friends. And like, hey, I'm not trying to use you for anything, because I feel like everyone's very much on guard out there when it comes to that. So that was also the big thing too. I ended up not reaching out because I didn't want it to be perceived as I was trying to use people.
See, I use the opposite strategy. When I call Adam, the first thing I ask him usually is, what can you do for me today?
See, you know what? If you have no problem doing that, then you're gonna have a blast out there. For me, it's just kind of like,
I'm just
well,
kidding, by the way.
No, I know you guys, but you guys have known each other for close to 10 years now. Pretty
close, yeah.
So I mean, at this point, I would almost expect when you guys talk, it's like, all right, what are we doing today? How can I make myself a billionaire?
We don't. No. Whenever we hang out, we never really film anything anymore. So like. I went down there one time and then we filmed a skit, but then every other time I went down to LA in the last couple of years and hung out with him and Sark. Like the last time me, him, and Sark hung out was at Sark's place the last time I was down there, I think. And we didn't take any selfies. We didn't videotape any of it. We just like sat around the fire and shot the shit and reminisced for like 4 hours. It was a lot of fun. I think you got to make time to do that. You got to you got to have some sacred time with friends where nobody's pulling out the camera and asking you to be in their vlog. I fucking really don't like when people do that, to be honest with you. I don't know about you, but I really don't like it.
I can't stand it either, because there is a mix of like that private personal time. Like I'm very big when it comes to privacy. Like even at conventions, it's just like once like I'm done on the show floor, it's like, all right, very cool. Please don't follow me anymore.
Yeah.
And it comes off sometimes as like as rude or pompous, but there is like a whole big thing. It's just like, yeah, I want to enjoy my time here as well. There is like, no, don't take pictures of me when I'm not expecting it, because it feels weird. It's awkward to see like these weird, unflattering angles you view on the internet because people are taking creep shots.
Yeah. Well, okay. So getting back to LA real quick, because I had a few topics I wanted to get to, and we're I could talk to you for you're a good conversationalist. But
Oh, thank you.
so at what point did you realize, fuck, okay, this was a mistake, or maybe not mistake, but this isn't the right place for me? And was that difficult for you for that reality to set in? Once it set in, were you like, God damn it? Did you feel trapped at all, or did you immediately think to yourself, okay, well, I just need to move back, and that's going to be the solution?
You know what? Again, it was around that May time, and it wasn't like crap, because again there are still so many people out there to do things with, so there's always something to do. But it did become a mindset of counting down the days until my lease ends.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird because you're not trapped, because you still get to do things and you still get to want to hang out with people, but you know everything you're doing is temporary. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I know I have I'm somewhere temporary, I tend to put off all of my responsibilities. So like, oh, we'll be leaving in 6 months, so I'll worry about taxes then, I'll worry about hitting the gym then, I'll worry about starting a diet then, because this is all temporary. But I mean, I guess it was really a couple of months in. And
oh wow, that's a long time to be committed to a lease when you're not happy.
Yeah. Again, I would love to do it all over again under different pretenses. Like, one, I wouldn't choose where I live. I was living in Glendale, and that was a little north of Los Angeles.
Right.
And
yeah.
I probably wouldn't pick there again. The area we picked was a bit of an uppity area where everyone was a little bit rude and people had money.
Oh, that's just LA. That's just LA.
Okay, well then maybe I wouldn't do it all over again. I think one of the big things that I missed too about what I currently had, I forgot LA doesn't really have like an actual city. It's more or less just like a sprawling desert.
It's almost a vast, expansive city. Yeah,
so it's not like,
when I think of LA, I think like Burbank and North Hollywood. That's all LA to me. I just call it
that's
all
huge.
LA. Yeah,
that's freaking huge. As for me, when I think of like a city, I think of New York City. So you go into the city, and that's the city, and you enjoy a lot of things to do in a small location. So if there's anything you want, you could just immediately go and get it.
Oh, you might like San Francisco then.
You know what? I was thinking if I ever go back, one, my girlfriend would probably kill me, but two, if I ever go back, it would probably be San Francisco.
Well, speaking of your girlfriend, how did you meet your lovely lady over there?
We met on Twitter. I guess 4 years ago or so. She was a fan, and I know they always say don't date fans, and I completely understand that, but she seemed normal enough to where I was like, okay,
it's case by case. It's case by case. It's case by case. Like, I think it's fucking stupid to make a blanket statement like you can never date anybody who is familiar with what you did before you got together.
No,
seems like you're limiting your options at that point.
No, especially if you do have a large online audience. Like, I can only imagine if PewDiePie was trying to date now. I mean, who hasn't heard of PewDiePie at this point? Now that he's an anti-Semite and everything. So,
Jesus Christ. God damn it.
But no, he would, like, you're right. You shouldn't make blanket statements, but there are certain things to look out for. Like, anyone, like, here, I will say this: anyone that has bought potential merchandise from me or yourself, I probably wouldn't date.
They got the red ink in the ledger.
Yeah. They probably get like a giant no, because that means they're too interested in my persona online and not my persona in person.
You answered my question there with I had another question that was going to be, what was her initial response to what you do for work? But if I could go to the next question, do you have an off switch? Like, let me preface this by saying, like, is chilled chaos that we see in the YouTube videos, is that pretty close to real life, or would you say that there is some kind of a persona there? If there is a persona there, do you ever have a problem turning the off switch on or flipping the switch off?
You call me bipolar, Hutch?
No, I'm not.
No, I would honestly think, I think a lot of us, when it comes to YouTube, it's definitely a more exaggerated personality. It's all of our tendencies, and then it's like that 10% extra that make you more fun, more excitable. I mean, you got to be that way too, for the most part. It's just like, it's that little bit. You can't
just turn on the stream or start recording and then just be low energy and mumbling and not really contributing to the to the dynamic because who's going to want to watch those videos? So even on days when you're tired, you kind of have to summon up that outgoing side of you to do these sort of things sometimes.
See, that's the thing I couldn't imagine when you were originally doing it. Like, again, with Cinema Respawn back in the day, that's like you're on camera and there's an objective. So that's like you have to put on that persona. You can't just sit in the background. At least nowadays, if you want to go in with like, all right, it's going to be a low-key, more casual, low-key, more casual.
Is that what you just said? Oh dear.
It was a Freudian slip. A low-key, more casual stream, you could do that. But when you're working for someone, you got to do that 10% extra. But
I got a hosting gig on Friday for GameSpot, and that's one thing,
like
you
50% more.
Yeah, you got to crank it up a little bit. But like, I feel like I've had enough practice, and you'd probably be able to do something like that pretty easily too. It's just you get used to it after a while.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the stuff that I would love more practice is actually doing like real hosting gigs or stuff that's more sponsored, because there's a different beast between hosting your own show and then hosting someone else's show.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was watching we went to a Gears of War event, Sark and I, and he was like the host behind it. And he's like a master of hosting, that guy. He's just like a jack of all trades. And you give him any situation and he immediately, all right, we're just going to roll with it. And he's fine with it.
He makes it look easy.
Yeah, I know, it's really a pain in the ass, because then you talk to him afterwards, he's like, oh yeah, I didn't know how I did. What do you mean you didn't know how you did? You were fantastic.
He knows.
I think deep down he knows that he's good at it. But no, back on the bipolar subject, I think it comes down to the fact that most YouTubers, again, they have that separate persona, and I think it is easy to turn off. I think if we weren't able to turn off, I don't think we'd have girlfriends. I don't think we would be able to function in society. I have a hard time with it.
I have a hard time with it sometimes. If I'm real hyper after a session, sometimes I'll be too hyper and I'll be doing too much. It follows me for like a couple hours, and Esme will have to tell me, like, you need to just chill over there for a little bit because this is too much for me right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's not, sometimes it happens.
You're gonna be a fun old man one day.
I think so. Yeah. So you find it pretty easy to turn off then, huh?
Yeah, I think because, and here's the problem too. At least I think we talked about this back 4 years ago. Chilled Chaos per se, it's not a completely different person, but he was almost created, or the persona was almost created as a way to differentiate myself from online and in person. For me, we're getting a little bit off topic, but when he came about, or as I say it, he, like it's some kind of crazy person, like, no, this isn't like James McAvoy Split.
It's a good movie.
When I was starting to, it was very good. When I started to do YouTube, no one in school knew I did YouTube, and it's like became like an awkward thing of like I had more friends online than I did in person. I had better friendships with them than I did in person at times. So it became a bit of an awkward thing where Chill Chaos was the online person and Anthony was the offline person. So it got very easy to separate the two because, okay, well, they got to go to school, it got to be Anthony. Then you go online, you get to be Chill Chaos. So it became a good mix. And no one really knew. I would say 2013, around that time when we first started, we started talking earlier, but when I first started coming out of my shell a bit more, when we did that Machinima Alienware thing, that's when it started to kind of, the personality started to blend a bit. Because you're putting now is actually the first time putting my face to a lot. Yeah. So I would say in the last 4 or 5 years, 4 years, I guess, the two personalities have kind of blended together. But prior to that, oh my God, it was a huge split where it was almost like a secret where I wouldn't tell anyone what I was doing or who I was, and I was maintaining like two identities because it was such a It felt weird. It felt like I was almost doing the wrong thing. It felt like I was an online stripper. And that's not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, I don't want to shame anybody, but like something that you should have a little bit of shame of doing. That's what it felt like in the early days.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure, because you need to kind of fine tune your personality when you do entertainment kind of stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, you don't want to like bury all the things about yourself that you like, So
no, I agree, and that's a good word to use when it comes to this. I did find myself burying a lot of any negative traits I had, and only the positive, and that's not good either, because that's not a real person. So you come off as almost not a robot per se, but like this infallible person. and that's not real. Sometimes you do want to give the audience like the real shtick. Now, not all the time, because I truly believe that YouTube and this online entertainment and social media really should be more of a positive experience.
Me too.
Negativity and positivity, they're infectious. They're completely infectious.
Me too.
Yeah, and if you keep putting out negative vibes, well, that's what you're going to get back, and I don't want to get back negative vibes. And two, you're going to infect other people. So it's like you got to have like a firm like 95 good, but still give them that 5% bad. Because then they realize that when you're a person, people tend to forget that really fast.
Elections will fuck that up for you, man. Elections will fuck up. It's like I believe you're right. I think that, you know, when I see YouTubers or streamers complaining about the platform on Twitter, it makes me like, I don't have a good response, and I can only imagine the response from viewers. You know, like a lot of these viewers have real tough jobs. They work 9 to 5s. Maybe they have 2 jobs or something like that, and then they come home. And a lot of what YouTubers and streamers do is provide a really nice escape for them. And if you complain too much about the platform, even if it's justifiable complaints that you and I could have in private, and it would be totally valid, I just don't think that viewers really want to see that, you know? So I think it's just a rule of thumb. It's way better just to leave that stuff off of Twitter altogether.
No, I agree. And that's why, again, I'll do it once in a rarity when it comes to bitching and moaning, because just something frustrates me. But the people that do it like day in, day out, or every week, you know what? God bless them for having an audience that seems to care. But for me, as a content creator, it does bother me, because I think they tend to forget how good they have it, and realistically that they're better off than 99% of the people out there.
It's like the opposite of the frog that you put in a pot of water. Have you heard this analogy where it's like,
I would love to hear it though.
If you try to put a frog in a pot of boiling water, if you throw him in, he'll immediately just jump out. But if you put him in a pot of room temperature water and then slowly heat it up, then he won't jump out and he eventually dies, because I don't know why, because I'm not a frog. But it's kind of like the opposite of that with YouTubers. And not that there's no stress, but I think it's really easy to kind of, you know, you're jumping in the water was already hot, and when you jump in it slowly starts to get less hot, and your life becomes slowly just kind of a lot more fun and manageable and lucrative for a lot of people. And if it happened like in a day, like if you went from making $50 a day on YouTube to $350, you know, that would obviously be something that stuck out for you. But if it happens over like 2 or 3 years, then it's easy to forget just how fucking
it becomes the norm.
Yeah, so it becomes your new normal. Yeah.
No, I agree, and I think you're absolutely right. I also tend to think that people who happen to, like, again, strike it rich on YouTube, we'll call it, you know, find the golden nugget and something works out really well, all of a sudden, sometimes they see themselves as a lot better than everyone else that they were hanging out with. And they work with, and that's a classic thing in any, I guess, entertainment industry. But you see it more on here because we allow people to kind of tie their own noose around their neck. You keep giving them more and more rope. You know, with something like Twitter or YouTube, you just let them keep talking and talking and talking, and you eventually they build a better profile picture of themselves than words could describe.
A few names definitely come to mind. We're not going to call anybody out here. But
no,
sure.
but I will look at Twitter and just like, why? Okay, all right. If this is really how you feel, you know, you're making $500,000-$600,000 a year. If this is really how you feel, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of it needs to be taken off of Twitter and social media, because again, like you said, something should be kept private. There's like positivity should be spread more. It goes back to that dual personality almost. Yeah, you should want to spread positivity, but not make it so it's like unbelievably fake, because that's what half those vlog channels were like back in the day. It's just like, oh, here's 95% of good what's going on in my life, and then 4% okay, and then maybe 1% bad, and then you find out they're getting a divorce next day.
Some people can pull it off, like Hector and a couple buddies, you know, Hector and Syndicate. They seem to actually enjoy doing the daily vlogs. And more power to him.
I always say with Syndicate, that kid's a wild child. That he's just going to do everything in life until he's old.
Oh yeah, he's one of the most compulsively social people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Well, let's finish this up. We already hit the 30 minute mark, but I like to ask people two specific questions, or one specific question, but I have two questions for you.
Okay.
But one specific question that I like to ask people is, was there a moment when you were building your YouTube channel that you realized, okay, this is it, this is now my career? Or was it a slow burn over time? Like, I like to know when, like, the exact moment, what that was like for someone when that light bulb kicked on and it's like, well, I don't have to work a regular job now. Did you have a moment like that, or was it something that kind of crept up slowly over time?
You know what? It's more exciting if you have a moment, but unfortunately, I'm too practical to have that moment. Like, I'm still thinking about, okay, when am I going to have to stop doing YouTube and get a real job? It crept in a lot. Again, for me, I started YouTube my senior year of high school, and then I did YouTube all throughout college. So my game plan was always, all right, we're gonna do my 4 years, got my marketing degree, went to a nice school, and then we'll make the switch after I'm done if things don't work out. And after I finished schooling, which was actually our last time we talked, last time we had an interview was in May of 2013. I graduated from my university, and I'm like, okay, well, now what? And the goal was, and then I told myself, if things have gotten any worse than they are now, and that's not like a bad thing, but I'm saying, like, if things didn't pick up and nothing happened in a year's time, we'll go look for a real job. Because I think at that time it was around 3 or 4 million views a month, and the money was very good. And I was just like, well, how long do I want to be doing this for? Because again, you do get burnt out. So I was going to say, if things didn't grow in a year, I am going to go find a real job. And not to say this isn't a real job, but I always say it like this because I don't consider it a real job because it's fun. Real jobs, I guess in my mind, aren't meant to be fun. My father was a roofer for 35 years. Jobs aren't fun. So it happened, I would say, probably between graduating university in 2013. For like a year after that is when it wasn't just like a eureka moment, but I guess a slow burn of just kind of like, well, things aren't really dissipating. I guess this will be my job for the time being. I know it's not an exciting answer, but I feel like that's the more practical approach to things.
Well, and you had, and when you were doing YouTube at that, I think it's different now, but back then when you were a YouTuber, you had even your fans telling you, well, you only probably got like another 3 years left in this before, people didn't realize how much longevity the job had because the job hadn't existed before. So like,
exactly. No, I was keep telling myself, like, all right, this job's going to be done by 2015. And here we are in 2017, 2 years after the fact. And I'm like, okay, we're still doing this. And that's cool. But yeah, there was a lot more doubt. Which don't get me wrong, I kind of enjoyed that because I felt like people they thought a bit more realistic or a bit wiser, that they were just like, okay, this is a new industry, let's give it some doubt and we'll work hard and we'll try and make a go of it. Where nowadays it's almost like the opposite, where it's like, okay, this is a brand new industry, I'm going to quit my job and try and do it. That to me seems crazy.
Yeah, you better have some serious savings if you're going to do that, these days.
I feel like it's better if you're going to make YouTube your job and really go at it, to have some doubt about it than just be like, yep, this is it. This is my new job, because it's hit or miss. It's a crapshoot when it comes to things.
Totally. Yeah. That's why I took the job at Machinima in the first place. That's why I prefer doing that over just submitting videos to their channel. 'Cause it was like, well, this is a salaried position. I know what I'm going to be getting every month, and it looks like there's opportunity for growth. So let's just go for it.
No, I agree. So you can't be faulted for that, because that was the safe and the smart choice at the time. You're not going to turn down a job, like an actual job in Los Angeles, in California, with connections, because you want to try and make a go of something. No, you made the smart move.
No, I don't regret it at all. But here, let me ask you my last question here. If you could go back and well, it sounds like you didn't start the YouTube channel with a career in mind, but once you had that goal, so whenever that was, 2009, 2008, whenever that was, that popped into your head of like, oh, I'd like to turn this into something that I can make money off of, maybe live off of. If you could go back and tell 2009 Chilled something, just one thing, if you could impart upon him some wisdom that you've picked up over the last 8 years, what do you think that would be?
This is a good question. I think because you've probably gotten so many different answers when it comes to it. I would tell myself 2008, 2009 chilled as from now 8, 9 years later, or 7, 8 years later, not to panic when things slow down or things get stagnant, or if you feel like you're getting burnt out, to just not to think too much about the analytics of YouTube or an online career. I mean, sometimes I still have to tell myself that now, but there were times again when you're trying to grow a channel, and yeah, realistically from the 2013, 2014 phase, so I'm like, do I find a job? Do I stay with YouTube? Where any little hitch where it was just like, oh, one day there was a weird issue on YouTube, everything's crashing down, and you're like, that's it, that's the end of it, it's all over.
Oh man, there's been like 7 of those that's happened over the last 8 years. But
There's been it happens at least twice a year.
Yeah, we're in the midst of that now.
Yeah, I know. So it's been happening so many times, and it's happened so frequently that you have to remind yourself that, yeah, there was a time where that happened in the past and you got over the hump and everything turned out to be okay, that there's always a way to make it work. But I would probably tell myself not to panic as much as I did during those years, and not worry about the analytics. And it's the same answer.
One of the cool things about YouTube is that you can reinvent yourself, and in some ways, I think you're almost obligated to every once in a while, because I don't think you can literally do just like the same thing for too long. I think if you want to be successful, I think you need to find ways to introduce something new on the channel, and don't be like, just like you said, don't be afraid if the analytics don't reflect what you exactly want in the moment, because trends change and algorithms change and audiences change and
you change as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, even I think about you, for example, and I feel like you've gone through so many different phases of YouTube, and you're always mixing up. And I think you're doing it the right way, because you're doing it what reflects you the most at the moment.
Yeah.
So every time you do something, it's almost as if that's you, that's more genuine. Because that's what you're invested in. I mean, you've had the COD days, and then you've had the break days, and then you've had the machinima and Gmod days, and then you had the chess days, and now you're on the interview days, and then
I'm still doing chess and COD, so yeah,
that's true. No, you are back on that, but I feel like, again, you are more your content definitely more reflects you of the moment, or you at the moment, than I would say a lot of people's content. Like I look at my channel, and it's gone through phases, I would say, but maybe like 2 at the most. And I look at Adam's channel. I think Adam's channel has been the same for 10 years. But it best reflects you in the moment. Which you're right. It is important to constantly try and reinvent yourself. That's what I'm thinking of nowadays, on how I can make myself more appealing to a wider audience. Or because I don't think you're ever done marketing yourself, or you're ever done on YouTube per se. It's just you're trying to approach it differently, and that's good. That makes things more enjoyable. I mean, do you say, and I gotta ask you, do you find you're having the same amount of fun on YouTube you are nowadays as you did in the past?
It's really hard to capture the fun of the real early days, you know, where
a lot of less days.
I would just get like, those were the days where I would wake up at 1 a.m. with just an idea for a montage in my head, and then I would just get up and start editing until 7 a.m. or something like that. So it's hard, and I had fun with it too. So I don't think those days are ever going to come back per se, but compared to everything else I was doing, I'm actually having more fun with it now than I ever have been. The only thing that gets kind of to be a lot is just the fact that I've really made an effort recently to be more consistent, to just to just try not to miss a day, and try to get the audience used to like a particular kind of programming, or try to incorporate what their suggestions. But yeah, no, I'm having a lot of fun with it now. Actually, a surprising amount of fun. I had kind of like a renaissance of rediscovering, like, I really enjoy conversations like these, for example, and I hadn't done them for a while, and I think they make for really interesting videos. And so, when I do stuff like this, I get excited, because I'm like, oh, I think this is an interesting conversation. I think people are going to want to watch it. It's when you don't really like the kind of stuff that you're doing. I've definitely gone through phases where, like, there were some games that we were playing that I did not really enjoy myself all that much when we played them.
Yeah.
But the views were so good that I was like, well, I kind of have to do this. And after a while, I was just like, I think it's better for my own sanity's sake not to get and to not burn out, to really focus on doing the stuff that I enjoy, and then just have faith that it'll work out in the end.
No, I agree. Again, at the end of the day, people want to be entertained. So if you can be as I was gonna say kosher, but that's not the right word. If you can be as real as you are in person, if you could portray that on camera, then it doesn't really matter what you're playing, because you'll be comfortable with what you're doing, and the audience will see that you're comfortable, and then you're giving them a real experience. It's not some kind of Hollywoodified BS experience, and that is really important. I think in our day and age, where everyone has Twitter and social media, and kids are very impressionable, it's sometimes good to give them real feelings and real like people emotions, and not necessarily just all the good. So I think that's the way to do it, but it takes time. It takes time and practice.
Words of wisdom from the man himself, Chill Chaos. Always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on, dude. I think that's as good a spot to end it as any.
Thank you for having me. We'll have to do this, but next time, not in 4 years, a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. And let's play. Do you play Rocket League at all?
Last time you mocked me and you killed me a lot in Rocket League.
Do you play H1?
Last time you mocked me and you killed me.
Get out of here. I don't remember playing H1 with you.
No, I to be honest, those are two games that I suck incredibly at. I'm on the shell shock grind, man.
I've never even heard of that. All right, maybe you'll have to introduce that to me one of these days.
Oh, I would love to finally get the upper hand in one freaking game we play.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's find a time. Well, fuck, I'm moving next week. Let's find it next Friday or Saturday or something like that. If you're recording, hit me up.
Yeah, when you finally get all settled in, that'd be fun.
All right, cool, man. It was good talking to you.
You too, Hutch. Take care.
Take it easy.